Hi, Scott. Leonard here again. My apologies for the delayed response. I missed your message coming back from the holiday, but I wanted to make sure I put this together for you so you can see some uh, high level areas of opportunity for your SEO, and there are several. So, as I went through your website and your overall online presence, I jotted down a few notes here. So I'll be referring back and forth. So you'll see me looking down during this video. I'm just looking at my notes to make sure I don't miss anything. But what I see, number one, since you are targeting the Fort Myers area, we would take a local SEO approach to your campaign where we're really only focused on helping you improve your rankings, improve your visibility for Fort Myers related phrases and surrounding areas. So you can tell me what are maybe some of the surrounding areas around Fort Myers that you would like to target. Now, the first thing, and this is really important for your local SEO, is your Google My Business profile, but specifically your reviews. And I'm not sure if I'm looking at the most updated profile, but from what I'm seeing here, you don't have any reviews. And that's a big ranking factor when it comes to the local pack for really any service in any location. And not only is it an important factor for ranking in this local pack, but just say for example, if you were looking for a physical therapy provider in your area, we look at these different listings. You'll probably skip over number one because they don't have any reviews, but then we'll look at optimum 4.1 overall review, 9 reviews, and 4.8 review overall rating for Quora, and overall 75 reviews. Now, which one do you think most people would pick? Probably the third one. Even though they're not number one, they have the highest rating and they have the most reviews. So they are pretty much proven that they are legitimate. And overall, they usually, 4.8 out of 5 is really good. So overall, they provide great services for their patients. And so obviously 75 and right now you have 0. That's a pretty big gap. But I would really put the pressure on your team, your front desk staff to start getting those reviews. And that's something that we can help you with. We do have a system where you can send your patients a automated message after their appointment, and they can leave you a review. It'll provide a link directly to your Google My Business profile. And just one note here, these guys, they don't even have a website. I'm going to guess that this is someone is using this profile to generate leads for someone else in the area because number one, they don't have a website, and then the business name is Physical Therapy Fort Myers, which, I'm not sure about you, but that doesn't really sound like a legitimate practice name to me. So, if these guys are, I don't know, I'm not local, but if these guys are legitimate, then leave it alone. But if not, you might want to report them because this is probably some type of spam going on here. But that would be my really number one priority. Start getting those reviews as soon as tomorrow if possible. Number two, so I had a chance to look at your website traffic and rankings historically. And while these aren't accurate, these are definitely estimates. What I did notice here, let me zoom in here so you can see a little bit better. So if I look at your traffic really jumped, during March and April, which is I thought was interesting because from what I'm seeing with the organic traffic, typically traffic has dipped because people just aren't going out and living their life as they normally would. But the traffic to your website jumped during that time. However, towards the end of April and going into May, there was a pretty significant drop in traffic to where you're pretty much right where you were kind of at the beginning of March. So I don't know if you guys had a big PR campaign during March and April or what else you were doing with your marketing, but it looks like your website may have been hit by a Google algorithm update. There's actually a pretty big update in the beginning of May or if that, if you did do any type of marketing campaign, that the effects of that campaign kind of drifted off, towards the end of April, beginning of May. Now, I've looked at your rankings, and this supports my belief that your website was negatively impacted by that May algorithm update. If you look here at the end of April, you have a total of 3,200 keywords ranking in the top 100. Now, if we fast forward to even first week of May, that's dropped by almost 400 or 500 keywords, and then we fast forward even more towards the end of May, that's almost dropped by. It's actually dropped by more than 1,000. So that supports that maybe your website has been negatively impacted by that core algorithm update. And with that, there are two things you need to consider. So the first thing, when I go over here to your website, go to your blog. So overall, pretty good blog, pretty good content. What I want to point your attention to is the author. So I don't know if this is maybe a person on your team. I checked out your team page. He wasn't listed there. He or she wasn't listed there. But what I would recommend moving forward is that for any blog content, you actually put it under your name, because Google has a thing in something in the SEO community we call your money or your life, meaning that any website that's related to financial services or finance, or in your case, health and wellness, Google definitely is a lot stricter on those websites, because if you put out bad information or information that's inaccurate, for their finances or for their health, that can really put them in a bad place. And Google definitely wants to return the best results possible, the most credible. And so going back to your blog, you've completed the advanced studies to become a doctor in PT. You should be the author on this content, because I'm sure you have other profiles online. All of those are on Google's radar. And so when you attach your name to your blog's content, it definitely provides more credibility when Google is scanning or crawling your content pages. So that would be one of my recommendations, to see what you can recover from that core algorithm update. The other thing I saw, kind of looking at your backlinks, so while Google never provides 100% transparency on their updates, one of the things I've seen from my research and my own websites is that backlinks, or websites that don't have good backlinks, have been negatively impacted. And so what I did, I compared your website with some of the other practice websites that are ranking on page 1 for physical therapy for Myers. And some of the things I'm looking at here, your DR or domain rating, that pretty much tells you how much authority your website has. And if you look at this, for the most part, you're getting outranked. You have yellow pages here, which obviously that's not really an apples to apples comparison, so we can leave them out. But yourbesttherapy.com, they they are outranking you. So perhaps they're doing a better job with their on-page SEO, and the same thing with Apex PT Florida. But then if you look at OSSWF, physical, that's creative, core physical therapy, they have a much higher domain rating. So the way that affects your online visibility, Scott, is if, let's say, you put out a page on, maybe you had an updated page on tennis and golfer's elbow, and then one of these practices, they posted the same topic on their website targeting the same keywords. So everything else equal, their page is going to have a much easier time in ranking compared to yours, just because they have so much more authority. And so in the eyes of Google's algorithm, they are seen as more credible. So, obviously you're not going to be able to close that gap in a month, but this is something you should be working towards, improving your domain rating. And the way you do that is by building backlinks to your site that have a higher domain rating than yours, but that are also relevant to either your local area, Fort Myers, or to your area of specialty, which is PT. So those would be my recommendations on how you can recover from that core algorithm update. Now, other than that, for your content, I would take a look at each of these different conditions that you and your team treat and maybe prioritize the top 3 or 5. And these would be, we should organize these into what we call content silos. So we need to make sure that in each content silo, so let's just say, for example, sports injuries, that all of your sports injury related articles are linked together and they all link back to the primary sports injuries page. That would go a long way in making sure that you're building topical relevance for these different conditions that your team treats with your website. So that's something I did kind of look through some of your blog articles, but that would obviously, I really would need to know what are your priority services, and that would also require me to look at the different content assets that you have on your site. Okay. So other than that, I already talked about the keyword drops. So not to rub it in, but again, you can see where you were in May, the beginning of May, and then you can kind of see that slope downward to now the end of May. So what I would do also is look at those keywords where you were anywhere from page 1 to page 3. And in SEO community, we call these low-hanging fruit opportunities, because just for a little bit of attention, we can boost these keywords to page 2 and then to page 1. And if they're already on page 1, we can boost them to higher on page 1. But kind of going back to the core algorithm update, I will look at those URLs or phrases or keywords where you were ranking in the top 30 and now you're no longer there. So for example, can meniscus tear cause hip pain? Average of 90 searches per month, but we can see you went from number 28 to number 92, so a drop of 64 spots. And there are several other phrases here that saw the same trend. So those would be those phrases I would really take a closer look at and look at the pages that were ranking for those phrases to see how we can improve them so that you can regain your ranking and your organic visibility. So that brings me to the end of the video, Scott. I hope this video has been helpful. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to your response. Take care and have a great rest of your day.